Hi, my name is Malika Neith Cornejo. I'm here at the HEaL conference. Would you do us the honor and privilege of fully introducing yourself and tell us what you do?
Absolutely. My name is Danute Debney Shaw, decision strategist, author. I am an attorney, and I'm a consultant.
Amazing. And tell us, what led you to this moment of now? How did your journey unfold to lead you to the HEaL conference?
Well, my journey led me through a very labyrinthine path. I have spent over 25, almost 30 years in management, organization, and law. And I have had a lot of situations where a door would close, another would open, a window would close, a window would open, and I would be heading into different directions and accumulating a variety of experience, a variety of opportunity to learn from a lot of wonderful people who had a lot of knowledge to offer, both peers as well as bosses, if you will. And it's taken me in this direction of being very, very committed to a paradigm that I'm working strongly on. And that is a paradigm of using your whole self in order to be able to move forward in life. And that starts with the intuitive, subjective process, moving into the rational, which is, of course, incredibly important. We don't leave that aside. And then, when appropriate, the creative. And so I'm very, very interested in different types of modalities. I'm very, very interested in educational modalities and innovations in education that would further an approach that would lays a foundation of personal confidence and ability to be able to work more powerfully, personally and professionally. I work with a lot of professionals, and I work with individuals as well.
What a journey. Amazing.
It's been a very long journey. It's been 18 moves, and I've been involved in the broadcast industry. I've been involved in homeless health and human services while I was going to law school. I've worked for a number of years now as a federal practice counsel in Washington, D.C., seeing a lot of different situations in these various contexts. Before I came out to Washington to work as a federal practice counsel, I was working for about 5 years as a bankruptcy court law clerk for the federal bankruptcy court. I got to see how people's lives fell apart. So I was saying that I have been involved in a variety of different contexts, which fed into my ability to have an opportunity to speak to those contexts. For example, I worked for a homeless health and human services organization while I was going to law school. I got to see how people's lives fell apart and got put back together or didn't, working for federal bankruptcy court after I finished law school. I got to see how companies either were able to reorganize themselves or not, and why. Again, I have to mention that I've had the opportunity to work with and for a lot of very powerful people. And by that, I don't mean powerful necessarily in their income, although I'm sure their income reflected a lot of the responsibilities that they were engaging. But the power was very, very internal, very subjective. And I got to watch and observe and learn from them how they applied that, how they worked with it, how they dealt with their own personal challenges and successes and failures. And this was a tremendous education that no one, short period of time in college would ever have taught me.
What an amazing life you have had. So many lifetimes in one journey.
In a way, that's true. I really feel like I've had 5 lifetimes because I was involved, as I said, as a unit manager working for a broadcast industry in New York. Then I ended up going to law school. Then I ended up working for, as I said, the federal bankruptcy court. And then subsequent to that, I was working in the aviation industry doing international negotiations and domestic negotiations as well. And that was a natural step because that airline was actually going through a bankruptcy themselves. So they were looking for someone who had a background in bankruptcy and also had had some experience with negotiation previously, which I had a brief interval. And so putting those tools together was exactly what they were interested in. And from that perspective and from that context, which was very rich and wonderful, I had the opportunity to move out or back, I should say, because if you're going east, it's usually back east rather than out west, and I was in the west. I moved back east to Washington, D.C., and launched an entire career working on mergers and acquisitions, working on large litigations, working in the context of a variety of government investigations, a lot of federal practice work. And you might think, well, how does that relate to knowing about people and knowing, how they function? Well, because I got to do a lot of the forensic work, the down on the ground forensic work, I was able to see what was actually said. To see, of course, this is all confidential. It's not any information that I'm ever able to share with anyone. But it gave me a richness of perspective and, instances of example as to what goes on behind, it's the Wizard of Oz, behind the curtain, what's going on back there. Is there a wizard? Is there a goblin? Who's back there? And what strings are they pulling to accomplish things that are accomplished? And this was very rich in informing me in the work I was going to be doing now as a decision strategist.
Wow. I am just in awe. Now, tell us a little bit about your HEAL conference experience. What has that been like for you, both as a participant and as an exhibitor?
I have to say I've enjoyed it a great deal. It was what I expected it to be. There were a lot of extremely interesting people who participated, and both as a panelist that I could share, but also in the audience being able to listen and have benefit of hearing their input. A richness of powerful background, and also what I really loved about the speakers is not only that they were educated. They had information, but that information had been used to become knowledge, and that knowledge then turned to wisdom. And it is from the wisdom that they were really speaking. And that's a few steps removed from just doing a mechanical presentation. Let me tell you about this, and these are the steps. There was a great deal of substantive context and perspective that was offered, which gave you something to mull around in your head and think about.
Love to hear this. I'm so glad that you have benefited so much. And tell us, how did people feel about your book?
Well, people like the book very much. I made a number of different contexts because there will be 2 more books coming along. The first book that I've written, How the Tin Man Found His Brain, is a sort of an introduction, a tease to that whole trilogy that will take place. The second book will be about the Cowardly Lion and risk-taking, and the third one is going to be about the straw man, the scarecrow, and our need for validation. And so it will complete the saga. And yes, I had a very nice response. That was lovely.
So glad to hear that as well. Thank you so much for taking time to talk with us. How do we stay connected with you after the conference?
We can very easily connect. I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. I'm at www.CelaPhontus.com. Very easily reachable, and we will stay in touch. We're connected through the media. There's no way that we will lose touch. I want to be there in March for Dubai, so I'm very excited about the next steps.
Sounds fantastic. Thank you so much. Such a pleasure, and I'm looking forward to Dubai.
Thank you so much for having me here. We'll see you then.